podcast music for the Mortgage Giants starring John Hinks Jr. and Devin Dubuque. So get ready because it's coming out in 2 weeks. We'll see you on Friday, guys. But seriously, we got a great show for you today.
What up, what up, what up? Welcome to the MLO Live Show. Super excited to be here. Oh my God, we got a show for you guys today. Special guest, John Hinks and Tzedi Briggs. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Woo! Did I? No? Did I mess it up?
You did.
It's Tzedi. I used to call her Tzedi, like a pasta.
All right. She's like, oh, he's gonna mess it up. He's gonna mess it up.
It's all good.
All right. Without further ado, guys, I'm gonna turn it over to you. Introduce yourselves. Let's, man, you guys got an amazing class planned for us, and something to do with branding or something like that. And John is a huge. Talk a little bit about Cageless and Tzedi. Man, I would rather just talk to you because you've built something pretty badass. So.
Way cooler than John.
Wait.
Dang.
Yeah, I'm just going to leave it over to Tzedi. Yeah. But yeah, well, I mean, yeah, all right. So Cageless came about almost 3 years ago when all of a sudden we went from 1% interest rate to 10% interest rate. You know, it just came out of nowhere, and people were kind of freaking out. And there are a lot of people in the industry that didn't know how to sharpen the sword and get back out there. And I've been lucky enough to be around amazing people to help me grow my business, like Scotty and so forth. I mean, and Coach Rick, if he's around. All of these people have had like huge influences in my life. So Cageless began as a just pay it forward thing. But to be kind of honest with you, I'm an old dog. I had some of the old tricks, and I think you can teach an old dog new tricks, but I think it takes someone a little bit more in the times, I guess is the best way to put it. So anyway, Tzedi was a real estate agent at the time, and she and I just, hit it off and going back and forth at coffee appointments. I shared her my idea that I wanted to create a workshop, not a seminar, not a class, because anytime you go to those mortgage events, as great as the speakers may or may not be, I always found the power in going to lunch with other loan officers or going to dinner with other loan officers. And so I said, why can't we create like a setting where we share ideas with each other, but it's got its own agenda towards the end to have a loan officer leave with a true business plan. So anyway, Tzedi helped me create it at the very beginning, and we found that we were regurgitating old stuff, and then it just slowly turned into its own thing. So we must have done over 20 something events together, and I can tell you every single event was different because every time we went to one, we learned something, added it, took something out, added it, took something out, added to something else. So here we are. So we thought we would kind of, start sharing it with the world, especially on MLO Live. So Tzedi, why don't you talk a little bit about like what it did for you?
Well, okay. My origin story sounds a little different. So when we started working together, part of my thing is I have a media arts degree, and I'm really heavy in the personal branding and the marketing. And so I asked him, I said, why don't LOs put themselves out there like agents do and try to build sphere-based businesses, right? And that's becoming more common now, thankfully, and try to build sphere-based businesses, because the one thing brokers tell you is only use an LO if they can bring you business too. But that was so rare, at least in our area, right? And how are y'all, if you're working with 20 agents, how are you going to bring in business for 20 agents? And so I started asking him, I said, well, why don't y'all do this? Why aren't you showing up more online? And he was like, I'm an old dog, whatever. I just do it the old school way. So I started running his social media, because I said, if I'm going to associate with you, you got to be on my level, buddy. I said, I'm going to make you bring in business, and then you're going to give it to me. And it works.
Yeah, it's true.
So I was like, so we kind of put it together, and Cageless has 4 big parts of it. But throughout our partnership of working together, I've taught him things and he's taught me things. And I'm a stubborn person, like teaching me time blocking. I swore up and down I can never do it. And now I do it, and it has changed my life. Right. So it's taken all those things. And so we took about a year hiatus kind of last year, and we only did it for agents, because we also have an agent version of Cageless. But I opened Tzedi Co., my brokerage, September 20th of 2023.
Mhm.
2023.
Wow.
And it is based around Cageless, the way I teach my agents, the way I run the brokerage.
Mm.
I don't recruit people. They all recruit each other. Like it's a sphere-based brokerage, basically. And so they all come in and that's how I teach them. And I've just watched these agents. I've watched agents who are struggling and then they implement these things and now they're rock stars. I've watched baby agents. Like I specialize in newly licensed agents and we're building them right from the ground up and we're teaching them boundaries and we're teaching them marketing and leaning into who you are. And so that's it's kind of all just finally come together. And like you said, every time we do it, it's different because it's a workshop. So we encourage people to tell us, what are you doing? What do you need to learn more of? What's working for you? What's not working? And then we kind of go and spread the word. And the point of Cageless is to build a community of LOs who all want to grow together without burning out, right? Because it's about balance and our mental health and all that stuff too. Money is fantastic. But if you've got a ton of money and you're unhappy, I would rather have a little less money and be happy. I would rather have a ton of money and be happy. So we're trying to help people get that balance there. So that to me is what Cageless is about, is that balance of work-life balance, mental health balance, all that good stuff. Because in real estate, it's rough.
But the one thing I've learned in 20 something years is if you skip the community, the experiences and the relationships and go straight for the money, it'll never happen. If you go for the community, the experiences and the relationships, then the money just takes care of itself. And so Cageless really leans into that very thing. So that being said, I know we have limited time. What Tzedi and I decided is we wanted to go ahead and just jump into helping everyone on MLO Live today. And we're going to do a brand audit today. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here and not leave the meeting like I normally do. There we go. And then here we go. All right. Yeah, last time I tried to share something, I just left the meeting. Got to go.
He's hanging up on people.
All right. So today we're going to do a brand audit for you guys. So take your thinking caps, put them on, and let's be honest with ourselves on this very part here. The first thing we're going to do is what's in a brand.
So to y'all, I don't know, when I ask people what a brand is, they'll be like, it's my colors, it's my logo, it's all this stuff. That is one very small portion of your brand, right? So your brand is how you're showing up everywhere. It's how you're explaining things to people. It's the vibe you're putting out there. It's how you talk about things that are work and aren't work, right? So when you have your brand, you really want mortgage wise, right? You want, if somebody followed you for 6 months on social media, they should still feel like they know you, even if they never needed to use you for a mortgage. Because that's what we really want to highlight is, yes, you need to be putting out your mortgage information, but what else makes you different? What's going to make me want to work with you versus with John, or with you versus with Scotty? Because what is it special that you bring to the table? So that's kind of what we're going to dig into a little bit.
Yep. So first question you need to ask yourself is, if I took the word loan officer or the term loan officer out of your biography, would there be anything left? You got to ask yourself, you know, I can't really see everybody since we're sharing, but how many of you guys shook your head or how many of you guys nodded your head? Does anybody have any feedback on that question there that they like to share? Like, if you took loan officer out of your bio, would there be anything left?
I love that question, man.
So I'll just use my own experience. For example, if I took loan officer out of my bio, my sphere, my world around me knows I love rugby, knows I raised money for Camp Cole and Camp Chemo, knows I love to eat, but that's just looking at me. But then there's knows all sorts of things about me. With Tzedi, what are some things people know about you if you took real estate agent out of your bio?
I like to sing.
She sings.
Escape rooms.
Puzzles.
I like lifting other people up.
Yep. So quick story.
Like mine says professional confidence builder.
with
in
professional.
my bio.
Quick story. Tzedi hasn't been to a quiz, or there was a time where Tzedi hasn't been to a quiz night in a long time, but she used to love going to quiz nights, and someone asked her to go to a quiz night because they knew she loved quiz nights. So it was an immediate reaction. It's part of her brand. So if you took loan officer out of your bio, would there be anything left?
And when we get in Cageless, we do this whole exercise where we figure out the other things about you, and we learn how to highlight, and we learn how to put that into your marketing. This is just kind of a very basic on your brand audit.
Yep.
So remember, your brand is not your job title. If I say, what do you do? Or if I say, who are you? And you say, I'm an LO, you have now dropped the ball, because you are so much more than an LO, right? And if I say, why should I work with you? And you say, because I can treat your clients right and get you to closing, every single person should say that. Like, if you're not saying that, then you just shouldn't even be doing this, right? If you can't treat my clients right and get me to closing, you shouldn't be doing this. Why should I choose you? Like, what can we connect on? Because it's all about making that connection with other people. And we'll get into that a little bit. So remember, your job fits inside of your brand, not the other way around. So what do people already know about you that has nothing to do with mortgage? Because that is just as important, if not more, then they know that you know how to do a mortgage.
And why it's important is because those are your people. So if I used rugby for an example, rugby was my best referral source for a long, long time. Not just the rugby team that was here in Columbia, but the rugby teams across South Carolina. They knew me as a rugby guy. So on social media or in just my general sphere and word of mouth was, dude, John's a big rugby guy, but he's also a loan officer. And people would immediately contact me because of that. So you've got to find that one thing about you, or not one, several things, 5 things about you, so that you can make sure that people know who you are, because people that are in that same interest group, they're going to remember that you're in that interest group. Nobody's going to remember that you were a loan officer first, but they're going to remember that you love doing this particular thing in your life, because they also remember that particular thing in your life. So you've got to invest in that, and you've got to make sure you find that crowd and make sure that they know that.
So if we go into a little bit of the why, your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room, right? It can be the things you're interested in. It can be Scotty, he's a trip. Like, he likes to post all these jokes online. Like, you can just
His
tell
dancing videos.
You can tell going down his Facebook, like, that he loves a good joke and he loves to just have a good time, and he can take things seriously when he needs to, but he's got a good balance of that, right? And you can tell that even if you've never met him, just by going down his social media. So,
when I think of Coach Rick, I don't think of mortgage. I think of Coach Rick as, son's football coach. He's really big into Cincinnati. He's got all of these different things about him that I'm like, those are the first things I think of. And then maybe down the line a little bit, I think, oh yeah, he's also in the mortgage business.
Yeah. And it can all go together. It's just, you want to have those other things about you. So branding is the key to attraction marketing versus chasing leads, right? None of us want to be chasing leads. If they can just come to us, beautiful, right? So, and remember, consumers want a person, not just a salesperson. Consumers want to feel like they can trust you. And if you're giving them other things to relate to you on, that's an automatic little bit of trust that's already there. So you're not having to start from scratch. And also remember, authenticity is greater than perfection. Don't wait until something is perfect to post it. Don't feel like you have to be this perfectly rounded, like, clean edges person. Just be who you are, because this is 2026. Like, people are looking for authenticity. We're going the other way. Nobody wants perfection anymore. Now they want to know that you're a human too, and that they'll trust you more if you're a human too.
And when we were talking about the rate shopping, was it yesterday? The rate shopping was yesterday?
Yeah, I think
well, my answer, or my response to the rate shopping is, if my client thought of me only as a loan officer, they might shop me. But if they think of me as a friend or someone that they can relate to, it's going to be really hard for them not to want to work with me, because the pain of saying no to me is there. So remember that if you put your foot forward in the branding aspect of it, that you're human and that you're authentic, the rate shopping will drastically go down. You're still going to have a couple of those people that want that extra $13 better payment. But in the overall grand scheme of things, it's harder for people to say, I don't want to work with this person, if they can relate with you more than just a loan officer.
Yeah, they feel mildly guilty about it.
They feel guilty, and that's pain. So people don't like to do things that brings them pain.
So marketing experts overwhelmingly are saying that authenticity is building trust. Trust builds loyalty, and loyalty builds referrals, right? So using referrals builds sustainable businesses. Because it would be wonderful if all of us could just have a fully referral-based business that's like clockwork and just keeps going and comes to us. So people aren't following brands they admire. They're following brands that they recognize themselves in. And if all you're putting out there is that you do mortgages, they don't do mortgages. So they're not going to relate with that, right? So we came up with the 7 C's of branding.
7 C's.
7 C's. Yeah, because I put that and then I put 6 and then we had to add another one.
That's right. Yep.
I wasn't counting right. Okay, so the first one is clarity. Can someone explain who you are and what you do without you there? If you've put yourself out there clear enough, they easily should be able to say that, right? Are your posts and how you're showing up, are they answering who you help and how? So it's a red flag if your content sounds like every other LO in a 50-mile radius, right? Because you want to stand out. The second C is consistency. Does your tone sound like the same person every time? Would your audience recognize it if you just posted and like they didn't see your name, right? Do you have a really strong voice? Like you don't want to be a red flag would be like, oh, I'm super motivational on Monday. And then I'm super corporate on Wednesday. And then I'm like a feral little raccoon on Friday. Like you have to stay who you are, right?
And the key, the word there is consistency. I will be the first to tell you that consistency has paid off. And thank you to Tzedi on that. Now, this is on social media marketing. And a lot of us are kind of still, trying to wrap our heads around social media marketing. Consistency has brought me so many new relationships in the last 3 or 4 months that I don't know how to explain it. Because when we first started doing it, it's the old hot air balloon thing where, to get a hot air balloon off the ground, you got to hold the gas down, right? You just got to keep it going. And then the hot air balloon gets in the air. And then once it's in the air, you really only have to touch it, but you have to be consistency in touching it, right? So for me on consistency, what's happened is now I've got people out of nowhere that I'm talking to that I haven't talked to in a long time saying, dude, I love your socials. I'm like, what? I love your socials. And I go back and I look at my socials and I'm like, which one was the one that was like the one that stood out the most? There's a couple of them that are really funny that I really liked. Most of them were her idea. But what happened is I looked at that thing and I scrolled down and I've got like over 150 posts. And I did that all in the last year. And I was sitting there going like, I can't remember how many posts I've done consistent that way. And then I found out that I'm showing up the same way and people start to look forward to it. And then it's easier to break the ice with people when they say, I see your presence. I see who you are. So consistency is very important. And I promise you, if you're consistent and nice, but most importantly, authentic, you will get noticed.
And then community. Does your content make people feel like they belong or are they just watching? Right? You want to be building a community, the community of We Love Devin community, right? The We Love Brian community. You're building this community around you as a brand, around you as a human. So you want to start to notice, like, are the same people engaging and commenting, and make sure you're giving those people attention too, because you are building this community that will then become your little minions that go out there and spread the word. Oh, we love Devin. Oh, we love Brian. Oh, we love Coach Rick, right? So what you're doing is you're building other ways for the world to be spreading the word that, like, I joke with my agents, I'm like, they're spreading the gospel that you do this, right? And so now when somebody sees a trivia night, they think of Tzedi. Like that's how hardcore I went into that. And I've only been to one in like the last year, but I put it so heavy into my branding that somebody going into a bar and seeing the word trivia night when they're in the bathroom now makes them think of me. Just because I pushed it so hard.
And pick something you love, by the way.
Yeah, community. And the next one is confidence. So are you posting from authority or apology? You do not want to come on there and say, I just wanted to hop on and say. Please don't say that. You don't want to say, I'm not an expert, but you are an expert. Just don't sound like you're asking permission. Just sound like you're bringing value and like you know what you're talking about. Because I see a lot of that, especially in real estate. And they're just not confident in what they're putting out there. And so then if you're not putting confidence out there, nobody's going to be confident in you.
And on context, does your audience understand why you're saying this? it's important to do a follow-up on any time you send a message out. Explain it to them, not necessarily dumbing it down, but explain the reason why this is important or why you feel it's important and why you want to spread this message. It's okay to have that explanation. They need to hear it because we speak it every day. One of the biggest things I always catch myself on, guys, is when I'm talking to clients or real estate agents. Like we met with a real estate agent yesterday for the first time, and she might join Tzedi's brokerage. And we got introduced, and she's kind of a new agent, right? She's only been around it brand new. Well, I started talking to her, and she was like, what kind of programs can you help first time buyers? And I was sitting there going, I was using acronyms like DPA and FHA and all this kind of stuff.
And I'm like, that means down payment.
She was like, down payment assistance. Well,
like I knew she didn't know.
I had to like slow it down a little bit and explain and make sure the context of when I was talking to her was very understandable.
Yeah, make sure you're not speaking lenderese.
Yep.
That's what I call it. I say you're speaking lenderese, like speak normal person. I can speak lenderese, but my clients can't, so I have to translate sometimes. Okay, and the next one is capacity. This is really, really important. Your brand should fit your life, not hijack it, right? Can you realistically keep up with what you've built? If you go balls to the wall, pedal to the metal, and all of a sudden you're posting all this stuff and you're like in your manic episode going hardcore on social media and then it all dies, like you've hurt yourself, right? Everybody goes, what the heck happened? So you need to make sure that while you're building this, you're building something that you can realistically keep up with. Like it needs to respect where you are in your life. It needs to respect where you are in like your business, right? And sometimes, and we talk about in Cageless, sometimes that means you need to start handing off things to other people, and you can start handing off some of your marketing things to other people. Because it's a red flag if your brand requires motivation instead of systems. It should be like, this is what I do. This is how I do it. It's a system. It shouldn't be, I have to like get myself going to do it. You don't want to disappear for weeks and then feel guilty and then all of a sudden start posting a ton, right? It goes back to that consistency. So it has to be sustainable. If your brand is not sustainable, then it's not right. And that doesn't mean you can't grow it as you add a little bit and a little bit. But going from 0 to 100 is unrealistic. So you pick one thing and you start working on that, and then you keep going.
Which goes back to paralysis by overanalysis. Sustainable means make it something you can do, make it something fun. Most important, make it something you love. Don't do things you hate doing. So we've been leaning a little bit heavy on this social media, but there's all sorts of different types of marketing. There's telephone, there's face-to-face in person, there's events, there's snail mail, there's all sorts of different things that we do teach in Cageless to do this type of marketing. We're leaning heavy on the social media part of it because that seems to be one of the more popular ways in order to get your brand out there. But the brand does not mean just social media. The brand means everything. But make it sustainable. Make it something that you know when you wake up in the morning, I can do it.
Yeah, and a good example of that one is like when you're finding those other things about yourself, you also know what you don't like doing. Like I hate golf. I think it's so boring. Like I could never. And I've been given opportunities to like sponsor a golf tournament. Nope, not it. Because it's not me. And that's not my ideal. Somebody laughing real hard at that. It's not me and it's not my ideal client. If you want me to run a trivia night all day, every day, right? Now, thankfully, I'm a broker, so I have other agents. I'd be like, hey, do y'all want to do this? But I'm not going to go and do that because it's going to drain my soul to have to sit there for 3 hours while people get drunk and hit balls. It's just not my vibe. And I know that because I know that about myself. That would not be sustainable for me to be somebody that has to do that all the time. I would be so bored.
And then if Tzedi does do the golf tournament, guess what all those people are going to think? She likes golf, but she doesn't.
You want to go golfing? No, I don't.
So the last C, because I know we're kind of a little bit short, we're running out of time, is the mantra of Cageless, is to care. So every day when you wake up and you go into work and you are blocking your time, hopefully 2 to 3 hours in your most ideal part of time, the most productive time, you are remembering to connect, which means you connect people in your life with other people in your life, because the one thing that people remember more than anything is how they got connected. For instance, next week, I'm bringing a group of men to a restaurant out in Irmo that a real estate agent and I just frequented, and the people in that restaurant are going to remember that we brought a group of people in and we introduced them to that restaurant. We're going to make sure they remember. So we connected them with more people. So always connect, because people always remember how they get connected. Advising is basically the same as education. Make sure you go out to the public and advise them, because there's a lot of bad information out there. Rally, we need rallying. So pick up your referral partners, pick up your people, pick up your pre-approval lookings, pick them up, rally them, keep them going. You know, there's all sorts of ways to be able to do that. And of course, entertain. Scotty Hutt's specialty, the dancing videos and all of that type of stuff.
So funny.
So
we're almost done. I just wanted to show y'all 2 examples. So this is one of my agents, and this is some of her most recent posts, some of her marketing material. So visuals do matter, but you can very quickly looking at, and she's a whole vibe, guys. You can very quickly look at this and tell some things about this girl. Like, Scotty, what do you automatically assume about her just from these pictures?
I just want to go party with her, man. Like, I think we can tear up the dance floor. Like, it's gonna get crazy.
You know what I mean? Yes. And she doesn't take crap from anybody.
Amen.
She's also actually a sweetheart on the inside. But she was previously at a brokerage, and she was on a team where she was told to cover all of her tattoos. Her husband's a tattoo artist. She was told to cover all her tattoos, and their logo was a lapel. So, like, does she look like her logo was a lapel? And she came over to me, and I said, lean into it, lean into who you are, because you're going to attract the right people. Because you don't want to be doing business feeling like you have to be physically covered up. Like, that's just uncomfortable. You want to be able to be who you are, and you will attract the right people. So the other example I have is our guy, John. So he was just mentioning how he's had a lot more people reach out to him lately, agents and everything. So my agents, I have 26 agents in my office. My agents have been around John. He comes to our office. He teaches us. But once we started posting the videos that show his silly side and show his like human side versus just John, the mortgage man, my agents come in and they go, oh my gosh, I didn't know he was so funny. I didn't know, like, I just want to work with him now. And they've always known he's a good mortgage guy because he's the one that teaches us. Like, he literally teaches us. And I encourage all them to give him a shot. But now they're seeing the personality side and they're excited to send him business. And they're like, and I have ones that have been very loyal to other people. And now they're going, I want to work with John. Next person, I'm sending them to John, because we're putting his personality out there, and they're getting to see, like, oh, now we get way to work with them, right? So once we put that out, and we have agents reaching out to him saying, hey, I want to have coffee, because he's putting that out there, and the right people that see things that way and that are okay with the little silly, because we don't want to work with super uptight people. That's not our vibe, right? So if they're okay with the little silly, and they have that balance in their lives, they're reaching out to him to work with him. So
love it.
Stay out of the cage.
Last thing, stay out of the cage. So my cage personally for myself was exactly what we just talked about. Was I was doing the activities that I just didn't like to do. I'm not a big cold caller, guys. I mean, I'm a big phone guy. So we've created something called cool calling. I feel better about picking up the phone when I'm bringing value. That's part of my brand, is to continuously bring value. And then I stepped out of the cage and out of my comfort zone, showing the side of me that people get to see when I'm myself, to be honest with you, when I'm myself. And then I quickly realized people gravitate towards that. They gravitate in other parts of my life with rugby and the fundraising that was a privilege for me to be a part of. And that part of me made those parts of my life very successful. But for whatever reason, in the mortgage side, it was like this box or cage that I was in, where I was not myself. I was not leaning into who I was, the goofy guy. Sometimes I would find myself, not doing anything because I hated doing what I was doing. And then once I just let go of it a little bit, and once I got in front of the camera, which I never really hated doing, I was just nervous about it. I was scared about it. And then once it came out, then I was like, okay, this is starting to really gain traction. And this is actually starting to attract people that I like, right? People that take themselves way too serious is not my vibe. So I don't want to attract those people. So part of what this message is on this brand audit, when you ask yourself these questions, and are you doing the 7 C's? And are you being authentic? And are you being who you want to be? You need to ask yourself if that's truly the case. If not, give us a call. We would love to sit down with you. Devin is a master at this as well. Devin is a branding genius when it comes to this stuff. But all of us that do this on a regular basis will be more than happy to find that brand for you. And or request Cageless come to your town, or come to one of our Cagelesses. And Scotty can put our website out. He did, and just come check us out. We are still adding more content to that website as well.
We have the portal. If you sign up for the portal, there's a bunch of free resources in there, including like a quiz you can take to see what kind of bird you are, and like each bird has a different marketing layout thing, and you can give yourself different ideas and integrate the other things about yourself into your marketing.
Hey, you guys are awesome, man. I got a question for you guys. So knowing what you guys know and what you've been through and the experiences you've had and the success you've had, what is one thing, if you would have had to pick one thing, because there's a lot of things you should do, a lot of things we should do when you help somebody, what's the one thing that you guys would do over if you had to start over again first?
If I could go back and learn how to protect my time, are you asking what I should change or what I would do?
No, just what you would do. Yeah, knowing what you know now.
If
you go back, what would you have done? What would you go do? Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like I was a plane in the clouds with no instruments and was just flying around looking for a way. And I think maybe sticking to what I knew and what I loved and just doubling down on that would have probably changed my business or changed how much I would have loved my business. I didn't love it for a long time, to be honest with you. I did it because it was a necessity. Now I love it. And I surrounded myself with people I love. And the people that are in my life now through Lending Path and Cageless and the company I work with now, Premier, I can't wait to get up in the morning. I love working now, and it's not even work. So if I could go back, I would probably change who I work with and make sure I surrounded myself with positive people and people that were not negative. So that would be my biggest thing right there.
Tzedi, how about you?
Mine probably would be set boundaries faster. But also, like, if we're talking real, I just would have divorced my first husband earlier. But
let's get into it, baby.
When you divorce that first husband, you get that confidence boost. But it's really, when I started real estate, I was the youngest person in my office, and I was in an office of 70-something people, and I had purple hair like here down. Right. So I was already putting myself out there, but I felt like as I was in that office, I had to change and become more corporate and become more real estate-y. Right. But so the moment I realized I didn't have to do that anymore, the moment I had the right people around me, it's really all about who your support system is, right? The moment I had the right people around me and got that confidence back in my life, my business blew up. And it really is about having, can I say a cuss word?
Yeah, you can.
Okay. So I tell my agents, you can't be a badass by yourself. And I think it's so true. And we're in such isolating industries that and that's part of the power of MLO Live, right? Is you've created a community. We're in such isolating industries that, you could technically do your whole job and barely ever talk to anybody else in your industry who understands your life. And you have all these people doing these cloud-based brokerages, and like, they don't even know their broker. They don't know each other. They don't have support. They don't have real support, and they don't have real people that they can just talk to about this stuff. And half the time when I get calls from my agents, they just need support. They don't really need an answer. They just need somebody to say, hey, I got your back. You got this. Right. And so early on in my career, I probably would have changed where I was earlier. So that I made sure I had the right support, but I didn't know what to look for. Yeah. And so, but the time boundaries was a big thing for me. Like, that one really didn't start happening until like 2 years ago when I opened my brokerage.
Awesome. Any questions for these two amazing people? You got an amazing presentation, by the way. There's some kudos coming in for you guys. So amazing stuff, man. You guys, you hit home for me. I know that for a fact. just being around you, we've implemented some of this stuff together. So I know that we're kind of on the same page in regards to some of the stuff you said. Anything
Thanks,
else? Anything else that anybody wants to? And John, you're going to be at MortgageCon. So if anybody's going to MortgageCon, John's going to be there. Zeddy's going to be there.
Scott's gonna
I'll
be
be
there. Coach
there.
Rick, I'm gonna be there.
I'll be there too. Yes.
All right, all
I'll
right,
go
all
wear my
right.
sunglasses, pretend like I'm a spy.
Hey Zeddy,
Morgan,
you and I are
okay,
dancing,
Brooke.
Zeddy. I'll show you a couple moves.
Okay. Okay. We'll do a dance.
I want to see you faint. I saw that comment. So.
I will faint if John does that thing.
We'll
If
see.
he said,
Dance
if he
reenactment.
dances, if John dances, y'all right then and there.
All right, John will have special training hours.
Okay. Some of the stuff he's done so far for these videos, I've been shocked that he did. Like, you know, that one, the one we did where we're going around us. Y'all go look at his stuff. It's so funny. I was just shocked he did it. But it took like 5 of us peer pressuring him in my office to get him to do it.
Good
I was
stuff.
like, come on, it'll be fun.